What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Hoops Laboratory podcast. I'm joined by the usual crew, fellas. How's it going? It's been a week. Last time around, we didn't have a week to kind of simmer on this. So how is everybody doing today?
Doing good, man. Lakers started off the week 4 playoff teams from last year, 3-1. Couldn't do better than that. Well, 4-0 would be better, but for the expectation.
Temper them, yeah. Bring them down a little bit.
Yeah. What you guys?
Yeah, I mean, just continuing with the Lakers conversation. It was interesting to me how JJ Redick was kind of pissed off after that loss to the Suns, and you can tell this guy just hates losing, and I think that's the culture that the Lakers needed. And if they just stay healthy and maybe make a trade, like I know we're talking about D'Lo, his value, we don't know if he has any value right now. But it's pretty low. But if we make a trade possibly for a big, I know Walker Kessler could be available, and they were saying that Lakers have the highest odds to get him. It's just who you're going to trade. So just a minor trade here could make a difference for this team, and of course health with AD and LeBron.
Yeah, I'd be a little better if they called that foul that AD got hit by two guys on. They NBA puts out that report. They said it was a foul. It's okay. It's nice that they say it was a foul now. At least they do that. NFL doesn't do that. But I think it's
thinking about that. Like that's actually pretty good, almost like a little primer, because I know Justin, especially in the group chat as games are going on, some of these bigger games. There's a real mastermind down there. Real scientist over here trying to fix the game a little bit. Ban the three or push it out to like half court or something. He's just trying to fix it, and I can respect that. What do you guys think about the last 2-minute report? Because it's, on one hand, it's cool to see the league or a league actually trying to take accountability, but at the same time, we don't like these refs still get to go do their next game. There's no actual punishment for it. We kind of just get to see, hey guys, hands up, we biffed it, like that's on us, but beyond that, nothing.
Isn't that why the NFL doesn't do full-time refereeing? Because so that way it's easier to punish or get rid of them if they're not up to standard. So maybe it's an issue with, because that's my issue, is that these referees, they get called out in the 2-minute report, but it's not that they have playoff games taken away from them. It's still these same bad referees in the playoffs. Even I don't even want them refereeing in-season tournament games if they're supposed to be important. I don't want these referees out there. But the 2-minute report doesn't do anything to affect the referees. So that's my issue with it.
Well, at least it calls them out. The NFL doesn't call out their own referees. I don't see any kind of repercussions for them. So at least it puts them on blast.
I mean, the least they could do is make adjustments after a 2-minute report. But if they're not making adjustments, it's like, what's the point of the 2-minute report? I would think that's the point of it, to make those adjustments. But then again, the next game comes and it's the same officiating crew and they make the same mistake. So,
yeah, I mean, using it as a learning tool would definitely, I would hope that's, something that the refereeing union, or because I'm sure all these leagues have one, that would be the hopefully what they're doing with these. But like Justin said, at least with the NFL, we can see them, okay, this crew's not that good. They probably just lost themselves a shot at a wild card game or a playoff game at period. And to me, that's the same thing with baseball. Is we might not exactly see like in-season punishments for these bad umpires, but next thing you know, we're in the playoffs and we're like, whoa, half the umpiring crews are gone because they only choose the high-end ones to work there. With NBA, we don't hear or see really any of that.
Yeah. It's just about accountability. If they're held more accountable, just like with the baseball umpires, they're not going to make it into the playoffs, but they can affect a whole game. And it's like in the middle of a game, you could tell these umpires are doing bad. We need to switch them over to third base or something.
That'd be so funny if they did that.
They've been pretty good during the World Series. But
If you're not the crew chief and you're umpiring the home plate, the crew chief should just have the leeway to be
The
like,
power.
You don't have it today. I'm stepping in, or Billy in from third. It's like and I was getting a little bit of a good feeling about my banning the 3 and getting rid of the 3 because I heard Dan Patrick talking about the same thing yesterday on the radio. He was mentioning about how it's just the all or nothing aspect of the 3 is kind of like baseball, and where it's a home run or a strikeout, and it's not as fun to watch. There was instead of banning the 3, making a dunk worth 3 points also. Which that's kind of takes away what they were trying to do. They're trying to making more 3s makes it so that they can have a different type of player in the NBA. You don't have to be as super athletic where you have to be able to dunk the ball from nowhere near the rim or whatever, do 360 dunks or dunk in general. But if you're making it 3 points for a dunk, then it's going to add athleticism, a lot more athleticism into what you want in a player. So,
yeah, there was a statistic the other day. Luka and Clay are averaging each 10 threes a game, which is crazy because they're on the same team. And I was like my brain just stopped for a second. I was like, dude, that's crazy. So I look at the other players, and none of them are on the same team.
Yeah.
And these two, I'm like, I don't really watch games that are not, televised nationally or local. So I was kind of surprised to see both two players on one team taking that many threes. It's crazy.
It makes sense, though, because Luka's always going to get his own threes, and then he's so good at creating that people are always open. So you got Clay out there, one of the best shooters ever. But 10 threes each per game? Oh, yeah. Wow.
And they weren't even the highest. There was I forgot who was averaging 12 a game. So, yeah.
It's Celtics probably.
That wouldn't surprise me if it was like someone like Derek White, one of their perimeter guys who just, lets them fly.
Yeah, I don't think he's shooting 12 threes a game.
It was Anthony Edwards.
Oh,
okay. That makes sense too. I get that.
13 threes a game. Maxey's second with 12.
Yeah, he's their primary ball handler right now without PG or Embiid, which we're gonna get into that. Don't worry. That makes sense as well with Maxey. It wouldn't shock me if some of these other, and that's the thing. It also feels like with the way that the tempo is going for a lot of these teams trying to play faster and, either create on possessions early, not exactly chew up the shot clock and force yourself into a bad shot or a lost possession. That's also kind of pushed the 3 higher because you can either, in transition, just put one up from beyond the arc and it's a more high percentage shot than putting it onto the floor. Or if your half court offense works and moves quickly, that's still going to be a higher percentage shot unless you're creating for, a pick and roll to under the net or, into that mid range.
Yeah, especially if you're a good offensive rebounding team, it factors in how good that shot is because if you get offensive rebounds,
you're giving yourself more possessions at that point. A miss is not as bad as, if you're not a good offensive rebounding team. So this is probably going to be how, just a general note to our listeners out there. First off, thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching our first couple episodes. Obviously, still working out some of the kinks here and getting things up and started for the new NBA season. This episode is probably going to be close to our kind of blueprint, our framework, at least once a week. We're going to be going live probably during some games, to be doing some live breakdowns, things like that. But for now, weekly we're going to try and do it at least weekly. We're all going to put on our lab coats and take a trip around the association and put on our thinking caps and do some scientific work in breaking down what is going on in the league. And I think for today, I think we would be remiss if we didn't start with arguably the funniest NBA news or NBA story of the week. Dwayne Wade's statue that was that, like, this is a genuine question. Was that commissioned by the Miami Heat? Like, did the Heat put that up? Like,
Oh. Oh my god.
who is that?
I think it's Nick Van Exel.
There's been so many good memes about this.
I don't know.
That is
Uh,
shockingly bad.
That was my first thought as being an old Lakers fan is Nick Van Exel. I just can't
Yeah.
understand.
yeah.
I mean,
They
a
have
lot of the
Carbonite.
statues lately have been bad. Like,
Carbonite.
besides the Kobe one, they've been bad. Like, even Cristiano Ronaldo's was.
I
Really
was
bad.
about to ask, which is worse, this one or the Ronaldo statue? Because that
Yeah.
Ronaldo statue is like, the
Honestly-
Ronaldo one doesn't look like a human. Like, it just looks, weird.
As bad as this one is, I think Ronaldo's is even worse.
Did they fix it, the Ronaldo one? Like, I could have sworn I saw that, like, it had taken like a year.
They were
But-
supposed to, so I hope they did by now. But
this one is
Yeah. What are you thinking if you're D Wade and you see this? Oh, man.
what makes it worse, like, and just looking at it, first off, that's a different human. That's not Dwayne Wade. Like, I don't know what picture or what they were looking at when they were, sculpting that, but they might need their eyes checked.
Like, if I would consider Dwayne Wade like a small or medium or big size head person, I would probably think he's a small headed person. That's like the biggest statue head I've ever seen. That's enormous. I just don't get it.
It's not even just that. It's the fact that it's also like, when did Dwayne Wade get so square?
Yeah,
That's a rectangle on a neck is what that is.
like, does he have dolphin teeth where none of them are touching each other? Or is that just the statue that's like that? I think he has normal teeth. I don't think he has dolphin teeth.
he had normal teeth.
This is insane.
Yeah,
Do we
it's just-
know, like, the picture that this was supposed to be like a reference of? Do we have that picture?
I think it was the it was a playoff game where he hit the game winner and was celebrating, and that's what this is supposed to be. I just don't remember which year it was.
Yeah, like a
Because now there's pictures of Dwayne Wade next to it. And he's got normal teeth, that's for sure. The teeth thing is not in question.
what happened?
I also have to ask, the jersey that doesn't even look like a Heat jersey. Like, in the collar doesn't look right.
It's supposed to be like how it was, like ruffled or something in the picture, but it's not.
No, it doesn't
This
even
one,
look like.
They're
is
saying
this
he looks
the-
like Antoine Walker.
Yeah, like I was
That's
trying to
not
like,
even. Oh my god, it's just awful. It's really bad.
Yeah. How can the Miami Heat, like, they put a lot of money into this? How can they accept that?
the veins everywhere on his face and his neck. It's just like, man. What happens?
Okay, and you know what? I had to look it up because I was curious. I'm assuming they're going to have to do something like this. They did redo the Ronaldo statue, and the new one looks a lot better. But gosh,
They have to redo this one too.
they have to.
Yeah,
They can't just leave that alone.
Yeah.
I wonder if they might do the same thing they did with the Ronaldo statue, because the Ronaldo one they left up. They left it there until they fixed it or made a new one.
Like, I saw the unveiling and I had no idea it was like a bad statue. I just saw the video of Dwayne and his son just like turns around and looks at him and he's like making goofy faces at him. I'm like, oh, that's cute. Like father and son, like he's messing with him because he got his first statue or whatever. But no, he's giving him that face because he's telling him that is the worst statue I've ever seen in my life. Oh my god, that's so embarrassing.
It's so bad.
I'm not even good at art, and I feel perfectly fine criticizing this.
Oh,
yeah.
It's awful. I mean, truly awful.
Just looking at this so many times, I'm almost certain they messed up and used Antoine Walker's picture.
I have no words. It's just shocking. Honestly, it's one of those things like you look at it once and you're just kind of like, who is that? And then you find out it's supposed to be Dwayne Wade, and you're like, oh no, it's just kind of gross.
Kind of looks like the soldier who gets killed at the beginning of the movie Antz. You know what I'm talking about? He's just laying there with his body there, like what he looks like.
Are you saying he just for the record? I think we should also try and pull up just a picture of what one of the ants looks like in Antz, just to remind people what this this horrible movie looked like.
It was. You go back and it's like they try to make them like lifelike looking ants and stuff. And
why is this one so buff? What?
This one's so buff.
I'm looking at the ants now. I'm like, I had to remind myself what these ants actually look like, and honestly, they might look better than that statue. Look at that thing. I need to know if it was the same person that signed off on this movie getting made by DreamWorks as signed off on that statue, because there's a clear parallel with the style, if you will.
Maybe it's promotion. He's promoting the movie.
Promoting a movie from 20 years or almost 30 years ago now.
You see something really creepy? Look up what an ant's face actually looks like. That is.
Oh, geez, those are.
That is weird.
I don't honestly. I'm not sure exactly where to go with this. You know, after looking at Dwayne Wade and an ant, not a real one. That thing, an ant with a Z. I think we should probably stay on the potentially negative aspects of the NBA from this past week. We can't just go to a good story after that. We have to go to like bad basketball story. I want to hear what you guys think about the 76ers getting fined. Was it $100,000 or something like that for misrepresenting how injured Joel Embiid actually or like his health? Because this feels like it's almost a unique situation to basketball, maybe. Because I know in plenty of other sports, like with the NFL, you know, as long as they're on there as questionable to play, even if they only play one series, you know, it's not a big deal. With hockey, they're even more secretive. You don't even get a specific. It's either upper body or lower body. That's all you get. But the NBA seems like it's almost taking a stand saying, hey, Sixers, look, you guys pretty much made it seem like he's good to go and he's ready to play. Next thing you know, he's missing the first 2-3 weeks of the season. You know, I'm just curious what you guys think about this.
I mean, in terms of hockey and NFL, I think it's just a lot more physical. So there's a bit of leeway there. But
it's fair.
They've been trying to kind of stop players from sitting during back-to-backs. There was that whole issue with Kawhi a couple of years ago with him not playing. But I mean, for Embiid, it's like before the season even started, he was already saying he's not going to play back-to-backs. So it's like an employee going into work and saying, I don't want to come the next day, and expecting not to be fired. So obviously, him being the best player on the team, nothing's going to happen to him. But just the fans coming to the games to watch him, and him not being there, I think that also plays a role in it. But just not showing up to your job, it's ridiculous in my opinion. If you're really not injured and you just want to sit out back to backs, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, fans don't want to hear the word load management. You pay good money for a ticket. You want to see the stars. My only thing is these guys like Kawhi Leonard, they really are hurt, man. Like,
right.
Kawhi has barely been on the court. You've seen, like, so how do we know? Are they really hurt? Are they not? It's tough.
Yeah, I kind of got like two things on that. The first thing is that if you're not going to play back-to-backs the whole season and you're going to be out at the beginning of the season, probably you probably shouldn't be playing in the Olympics. And if you are going to play the Olympics, then you need to be like LeBron and come right back and say, yeah, I played the Olympics, but you know what? I'm planning on playing 82 games this year. Anthony Davis, I'm planning on playing 82 games this year. I'm sitting back-to-backs. Well, not yet. That's not what Embiid did at all. He went to the Olympics, played. Not that well until the final game, but he played, and then he comes out and says, I'm not going to play back-to-backs. And then the second thing I was going to get at is that what is the Sixers' motive here? Why don't they want to announce that he's going to be out? It's not even like a big tactical advantage for teams. They're not like they're preparing for days and days and days. You get like a day in between games to prepare for the next team. It's like, I don't understand.
Sounds more like a PR thing, like for their fans. They don't want their fans to freak out, less ticket sales.
Yeah, that's true. I guess kind of the other thing, and this is going off your point, Jason, is
tickets. That's so bad.
It is. To kind of look at it from the standpoint of like, okay, the league is trying to get rid of load management, things like that. If that's the case, then why is the team getting fined, and why is that punishment not being handed down to the player? Because if it's from the team, if the team is saying, okay, he's not ready to play, that's, to me, I would assume is coming from not a coaching standpoint or an organization. That's a medical standpoint. If a player comes out and says, to make sure I'm ready for the playoffs or for whatever reason, because like we've all said, they're very clearly trying to do something about load management, making sure these guys play as much of the season as possible. I mean, shoot, look at the awards now. If you don't play 70 games, you're not even in the running. At this rate, Embiid can't be eligible for any regular season award. So clearly they're trying to get these guys to play more during the regular season. I understand it. I get it. I'm all about it. But why are we going to punish a team and an organization instead of a player when a player is making that decision? The players have, a lot of power in the NBA.
Yeah.
I recognize that. But it feels like to put it on the organization as a whole feels a little bit. Now, I could just be misunderstanding what the fine is for. That could be on me, but I don't see how, like Justin, you said, you're not getting an advantage, but with your PR statement saying, he's out for a week, or he's not doing this or that, because teams can only go out and game plan so much.
Yeah.
So it feels a little bit misplaced, unless I'm misunderstanding something.
I have heard it's been the other way around before, where teams sit down players, where players want to play and the team and the doctors say, no, we need to sit you out, try to, for load management,
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if it's that, where the team's involved in this decision as well. I don't know.
It's almost like what happened here is like the Sixers, they know that Embiid needs to play 70 games to win an award. He's not going to play 70 games, so they're not going to have me come anywhere close to 70 games. Their approach is, now they have Paul George especially, is to take the same approach that the Clippers took that first year with Kawhi and Paul George, and really all they're going to care about is the playoffs. Maybe they're seeding a little bit when they start getting towards the playoffs, but this is a team that is championship or bust. And we were talking about it in the first episode, and nothing has really changed there. They're going to play Maxey, but I'm not expecting too much of George this regular season, not much about Embiid, because it's just the way it seems to be going. They're locked in for the playoffs. And like you said, they're trying to keep selling tickets. They don't want to announce to the fans that, hey, we're not going to be playing Embiid as much. So they wait till the very last second they possibly can about announcing that. And that's probably what the fine is for. It's very misleading, like the title of the fine was for. Misleading, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly possible. I mean, and to your point there, with them trying to just push it to where it's all in on the playoffs, and I'm curious what you guys think on this one, is the game has changed a little bit with the play-in, with the way that seeding is now. Even if you just sell out and say, you know what, we're going to come in as the 6, 7, 8, whatever seed, and deal with the play-in as it comes, isn't there a new inherent risk? Because, I mean, we're also going to talk about some of these other teams in the East. I'm not sure how complete this Orlando Magic team is if they end up in that bottom 4 seed. I know good and well, if it's a 1-game shootout, that's a team I don't want to see.
Yeah, no way.
And even if I'm the Sixers and I've got Embiid and I've got Paul George, that's not a team I want to see if it's 1 game, 1 and done. I don't want to see that team. There, I don't want to see the Heat in that situation. You've got these teams now where if you're in the play-in, you're putting up a pretty big risk there, whether your guys are healthy or not.
Yeah, Paulo can drop 50 on you like he did the other night, on the Pacers. You never know. And this, like we were talking about, George, in the first episode, that this Magic team is on the rise. So in a 1-game situation, anything can happen.
Yeah, the other thing is for Sixers, that's kind of why I had them at 6, finishing 6th in the East. Let's say Paul George and Embiid sit out half the season, just hypothetically, to rest up for the playoffs. Where is the chemistry going to be in the playoffs? Is it just going to be Embiid ISO, Paul George ISO, Maxey ISO? Or is it going to be a team type of effort? Because if it's just going to be ISO, we've already seen that with Embiid, and it just doesn't work. We've seen it with James Harden in the past. It just doesn't work. So how is that going to play out in the playoffs? And I think if you're not going to be able to play back-to-backs and you're going to miss all these games, you're not going to build that chemistry in time for the April, May basketball.
Yeah, same thing happened with the Clippers. You need that chemistry. It's not going to work if you don't have it. But I don't think that they're going to be sitting out half of the year. I think that they're going to try to get to close to 60 games. Both of them, 60 games. I think if you get 60 games out of George, 60 games out of Embiid, and a full season out of Maxey, and you can't get the 5 seed, you're not really going to win the championship anyways. So yeah. I think that they're banking on that.
Fair. Yeah, if they can get into those top 5 seeds,
I can see what they're doing here. I'm not really agreeing with it, but I guess I could see what they're doing.
Yeah, I see it too. I think you need the health for sure there, because if you're not healthy, if those 3 guys aren't there, you're not winning. But at the same time, it's like if they're gonna be missing these games, and they've missed 4 games already, and
it'll be 4 tonight. It'll be 4 tonight.
It'll be 4 tonight.
3. Yep.
Yeah. So it's gonna be tough to build that chemistry.
Well, it could be also that thing where it reminds me of the Kawhi situation. It came out, his trainer said he was supposed to be sitting for 2 years. Yeah. So is this the thing where Embiid, is not supposed to be healthy for, a year or something, like, and he still played in the Olympics? Like, who knows? They don't disclose this stuff to us. So.
I mentioned their coach either. Not like our coach has been the best playoff coach there is too. So it's like they're hoping to get everything together for the playoffs, and then they have Doc Rivers.
Oh, with the
Well, no,
Sixers?
Doc Rivers is with the Bucks
He's
now.
with the Bucks
Oh,
now.
the Bucks. Okay.
I was going to say, to your point, it's not like Nick Nurse has this, stellar playoff track record either.
Yeah, I got off track
it's-
there.
It might be a little bit better, but how much? I think he's got a better track record of complaining than, actually winning playoff series.
I was gonna say him versus the refs ends up being the
story.
big battle of playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, and I know Jason brought it up, and I think it's probably a good place a good jumping off point to get into two of the at least the two Eastern teams that have kind of surprised us to start this season. The Orlando Magic have been stellar so far, and it's been a true team effort. I mean, like you showed earlier, Paolo put up a 50-burger, but we're getting a lot of great play from both Wagners, surprising from Mo. We knew Franz was going to be a good player there. Suggs has looked good. KCP has been great, a really nice addition for them. And the other one, which we're going to talk a little bit more about because they play the Lakers this evening, is the Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers are undefeated so far, and Evan Mobley might be is looking like one of the best power forward centers in the game right now. He's on a heater.
Yeah.
Whether it lasts, that's yet to be seen. But what do you guys think about those two Eastern teams getting off to some hot starts?
Yeah, I mean, going into the season, I had the Magic at 4, and that's kind of the reason why, because of that defensive power that they have with Suggs and KCP, and then also a rising superstar in the making in Banchero, but also Wagner, Carter Jr. Like, they have pieces everywhere, even off the bench. Cole Anthony, Mo Wagner, like you mentioned, he's been playing well. They have a lot of pieces, and they have good depth, so they can surprise teams during the regular season and possibly even win 1 or 2 rounds in the playoffs this year. But yeah, they've been impressive. And for the Cavs, I think just keeping that team from last year and adding some rookies this year, it paid off for them for now, right? It's very early into the season, but as of right now, it's paid off for them. They've been on a roll, and let's see if they can continue out against the Lakers tonight.
Yeah, it reminds me of OKC last year. They young team that just kind of takes the regular season by storm. And, in the playoffs, we've seen inexperienced teams can't go too far. So it's more of a regular season thing, but it's still fun to see a young team having success and building it together. And good for Cleveland for keeping that core together, because, hey, maybe they can grow into something if they just keep this going,
They've just taken a huge step forward with their defense. It's insane. If you were I was looking at the defensive numbers earlier, 11.5 steals per game they're getting right now. There's like 3 or 4 guys more than a steal and a half per game, and then 7 blocks. They're getting good minutes from both of their big guys. Neither of them are hurt right now. I think that's another big thing is. Yeah. As long as those guys can play together and stay healthy, and the chemistry that they have together out there on the court, or if you're just playing them one at a time, it's just such great defense having both of them out there. I'm talking about Allen and Mobley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it seems like that kind of timeline is closing on the Cavs. They got to do something. If they're going to do it, they got to do it quick, because Mitchell's not getting any younger. And he might want out if, they can't go further this year than last year. And if, let's say, injuries happen and, they're knocked out of the playoff race, does that mean they move Mitchell or they move Mobley, or do they keep the same guys? It'll be interesting to see, as the trade deadline approaches later on in the season, where that goes too, because there are some teams here that can blow up pretty easily. And Cavs could be one of those if they, can't rack up these wins like they are now.
That's actually a really good segue into one of the other teams that I think is off to a very slow start, but we're kind of expecting them to potentially blow it up, and that's Utah. to me, they're surprising in a negative way. There are a couple of Western Conference teams we're gonna break down in just a few minutes as good surprises. I think we're all kind of in agreement on, but this Utah Jazz team, and if you've watched any of them, it's not just the players, it's the rotations, it's the coaching. It genuinely feels like they're tanking. I mean, and I hate to use that word because it's kind of one of the dirty words of sports, but it certainly looks like it, and it certainly feels like Danny Ainge is sending a message saying, if I want my guy at 1 next year, we're going to put ourselves in the best position to do that. And as the trade deadline approaches, I don't expect to see a Markkanen on that team. I don't expect to see a Kessler on that team. And that's a majority of their production. Excuse me.
For sure, Collins.
There's another one. Like and he's a good, these are good veteran players that play valuable roles, especially for teams planning to go deep in the playoffs. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. It's rough.
Losing probably their best defender the other day for the rest of the season to that gruesome injury with Hendricks. That was just that was awful, and it makes it even easier to tank now that you can't really guard anybody.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of good young guys. Keontae George still, I think he has a lot of potential and is going to develop more. Isaiah Collier, we haven't seen anything from him yet. He's been injured, but he was pretty good at USC. So let's see what he can do with Utah. And then they're big from Duke, Filipkowski. He got some run last game and was pretty good. So they have some young guys that can build off on, but like Markkanen, I don't see him on the team like you guys said. And he fits a lot of teams' kind of play styles, so it'll be interesting where he goes. And then Kessler, Lakers right now are the favorites to land him. We'll see if that comes to fruition because Koloko's kind of nearing a return. So if he comes back and he's a presence in the paint, then we may not need to get Kessler, but he'll definitely be on another team by trade deadline. So they have a lot of guys, Colin Sexton too, Jordan Clarkson, who can help these other teams. And then just to get off topic real quick for Atlanta, the other day, Larry Nance Jr. Played pretty well, and he could really help some of these teams like the Lakers, like the Suns, Clippers, who, just need a guy that can do a little bit of everything. Because I just don't see a fit there for him currently with the way that the Hawks are structured. So there will be guys who you may not have to give up much for, except Markkanen, to get for playoff run.
Yeah, the good thing is if Ainge is tanking, at least there's a lottery system, unlike the NFL. If you're the worst team, you still got to have the luck of the ping pong balls to get who you want. So, but I wanted to talk about another player. Should Denver let Russ cook? He had a rough start. Last game, he did have 22 points, but the first 3 games, he was looking more like the Lakers' Russ. So what do you guys think about it?
I think that's the opposite of what they need. If I heard Jokic saying the other day, we need more consistent shooters. That's not what Russell Westbrook is. He's not a consistent shooter. I wouldn't even call him a shooter. Great player, all-time great energy guy. Just, I don't know if that's what the Nuggets are looking for right now, if they need consistent shooting. And they can start giving him the ball more and letting him do his own thing, but it's going to take them out of the flow of their offense.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me is you have to look at what role and or whose role in that starting lineup is he going to be, taking, because that offense has really been predicated on Jamal Murray and Jokic and MPJ for the last, 2 or 3 seasons now. And although, Porter Jr. is a pretty streaky shooter, when he gets hot, he gets hot. I don't know what type of value, extended minutes for a guy like Russ is right now. I mean, you could slide him in at the 1 and move Murray to the 2, but then you've got 2 guys that want to be that primary ball handler, and that takes away from what this offense has done to be, objectively good the last handful of seasons.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a Westbrook fan. I have his OKC jersey and his Lakers jersey. I want to see him succeed. But
Oh yeah,
with this team, I don't know if there's much room for him. Unless Murray plays off ball, which I don't think he's going to want to play off ball. He's going to want to be that point. Also, there's Julian Strother, who is one of their best shooters, if not top 2 on that team, who should get more run too. So it's like, I don't know if Russ starting would really benefit this team unless Murray takes that off-ball role. And if that works, great. But then what happens with Jokic? Because he's also the facilitator. So yeah. I just don't see a fit there.
It just takes the ball out of the hands too much of the younger guys. They need Strother, they need Brown, and they need Watson to get more of these minutes, more touches. And so they could become these consistent shooters that Jokic wants. But if they're giving the minutes to Russ to let him do his own thing, then I was saying it's taking him out of the flow of their offense, but also it's taken away from time of development that they need for other guys that they actually need it.
And it sucks to see because he was such a presence in OKC, that MVP season, just a special time in his career. And then we saw with the Wizards, that second half of the season, he kind of turned it around. We could see that happen here, but it's just, I don't know. You can't have Russ on a team where you have a LeBron, where you have a Jokic, who's already a facilitator, or a Harden. You need him somewhere where you don't have many facilitators so he can do his thing. And I just don't know how many teams there are out there that will need that right now.
Yeah, he was better in his limited role with the Clippers, with Ty Lue, kind of keeping him under control. I never understood the signing for Denver when it happened.
Yeah,
he just didn't seem like the type of player they need, and so it's unfortunate. Hey, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, and I wanted to get to. I mean, we still have some time. We have a couple other topics to get to. One player that will not be cooking going forward, and probably a team that will likely take a bit of a step back without him, is Dejounte Murray with the Pelicans. He broke his hand. He is out. What they say? Give it 2 or 3 month timeline. Was it a couple weeks?
4 to 6.
4 to 6 weeks. So yeah, in that 2-ish or just over a month and a half mark until he's reevaluated and potentially comes back. But that really puts a damper on a team that looks like it's as it gets healthier, should be a very solid team, in the middle of the pack for that Western Conference. Zion has come back from, luckily it wasn't an injury. He missed the first game with what turned out to be an illness, not a major injury. He's coming back and playing well. They're getting contributions from young players up and down the lineup. To lose their starting point guard that they just signed is, kind of a backbreaker.
Yeah. Murray, another one, like very good all-around point guard. And he didn't have that opportunity with the Hawks because Trae Young was the main facilitator there. But now he has that, he's back in his regular role. So it's unfortunate that he got hurt. I guess the only good side to this is that it was early and he'll be back, for that playoff push. And they get Trey Murphy back probably by then too, because they're going to need a shooter like Murphy out there. The rookie Misi, he's done pretty well at center. So they got guys there where, if they're clicking, they can make a run. But yeah, it's just unfortunate for Murray because this could have been a season where he kind of regained himself from his days in Atlanta.
Sucks for him because he's just such a hard worker. Everybody, you talk to people around the league and you always hear people about Dejounte Murray, and how much like NBA players think of him because of how much he cares about just basketball. Like all he cares about is basketball, and that's why I wanted him so much on the Lakers when things were going down in the offseason. But New Orleans whooped in there. It was a good move for them, obviously. Sucks for Dejounte being out for 4 to 6 weeks. I don't know if the Pelicans are going to be able to withstand that. And if they were in the East, maybe, but in the West, losing your best player 4 to 6 weeks, and then they're going to have the inevitable Zion missing time. So
a lot of pressure on McCollum and Ingram right now to carry that team until Murray's back, at least.
Yeah, I think it'll be more minutes for CJ McCollum, and he's more of a scorer. So we'll see how that works out. But helps my fantasy team.
Luckily, I have both in one of them. So,
jeez. All right, guys. Before we close it out for the day, obviously, I want to talk about some good things. We're going to talk about some positive things. We're going to be talking about 2 Western Conference teams that are off to a pretty good start. And funny enough, their losses are to each other. They've matched up twice now early on in the season. We've got the Phoenix Suns and your Los Angeles Lakers. Let's close out with the Lakers. So let's start with the Suns and the start that they've had. It isn't, at least to me in my estimation, it isn't exactly surprising when you look at the roster that they've built. To me, this is going to be a team that if they struggle, it'll be later on because of the lack of depth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I really like our banner here because, in fact, Suns, they are hot. Suns do be hot.
40 minutes per game for Kevin Durant. It's going to catch up to you. That's going to catch up to you. That was my only thing when looking at their team, looking at their stats, is seems pretty well balanced, except for they don't have depth because of that, they're having to play Kevin Durant 40 minutes a game. Like even look at the numbers between LeBron and Anthony. He's playing more than LeBron and AD, and Kevin Durant wasn't even there for the Olympics. Or he was there in the Olympics too, actually. Yeah, but LeBron and AD are playing less minutes than you. You got to kind of read the room and kind of see around the league. And I like Frank Vogel as one of my favorite coaches. And before he was hired as the Lakers, I wanted him as a Lakers coach. He's always been one of my favorite coaches. But this is not a great way to start the year.
Well, Vogel's not there now.
The record is good, but it just seems like an injury waiting to happen.
Yeah, what was that, Jason? You had
Oh, I said, Vogel's not there now for Phoenix.
Oh God, I keep forgetting
who is coaching there in Phoenix. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I can't remember either, but I know Vogel got fired.
Oh, great.
It's a younger guy. I forgot his name.
Oh, it's Budenholzer.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, now I'm not surprised at all. Playing 40 minutes.
The one concern, I guess, for Phoenix, except for that last game from Booker, is that he's gotten off to a slow start. And if he gets going, I think they'll be a lot better. But like that game in LA when they played the Lakers, if Booker was feeling it, it would have been tighter from the start, and they could have gotten away with the win there. But he was feeling it in Phoenix. They got the win. But they're overusing their players. These guys aren't spring chickens, like their rookie Ray Dunn. He's pretty good defender. Played well against LeBron too last game. But other than that, they don't have much young talent. Tyus Jones, I don't know how well he fits that mold there, but I just never thought that Beal and Booker could coexist well, because Beal is a scorer, Booker's a scorer, KD's a scorer. You can only have so many scorers on a team. So they need to make some adjustments, whether it's minor or you trade Beal or KD. I don't see KD being traded, but possibly Beal if they struggle a bit during the season. But an adjustment needs to be made there for Phoenix. But a good start for them.
Yeah, I like Tyus Jones there. I think they need more role players like that. We've seen with the Lakers before, trying to have 3 stars does not work because your bench is too thin. So like you guys have said, I think down the line they wear down. But for now it's working. it was interesting how they flipped the script on the Lakers. The Lakers got out to the hot start this time, and they came back. It was the other way around the first game. So it was an entertaining game. Wish they would have called that foul though.
I haven't been able to watch much Suns because I've been watching the World Series. But is Tyus Jones that ball handler for them, or is it Booker?
I think they alternate.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Tyus Jones more of the second unit, but I like when they're both in there. I saw Tyus Jones with the ball a good amount. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought that was surprising to me that he was more of a facilitator than the big three, but I think that it makes sense throughout the year. That's what he was kind of brought there for, to take a little bit of pressure off of them. I like the signing. Like I said, I didn't know how well it fits, but I like him as like a minutes eater upper guy who's just going to soak up minutes for them, and that's kind of what they need when they're lacking depth. So,
yeah.
I was going to say also they're not going to continue shooting as a team 38% from three, so that's their number is going to go down a little bit off of that.
Yeah, that's the same type of thing with like the minutes issue. Is at some point it's going to come back towards the mean. That's going to come down a bit, and to me, like we all have said, the biggest thing for them is their sustainability. Can they sustain that over the course of 82 games? I don't see that happening. To me, the Lakers' hot start is a bit more sustainable because, one, I think they've got better depth, and a lot of it seems like the big difference between this team currently and with last year is the coaching. And I think the scheme and the systems that they're starting to run early on in this season are a lot more sustainable and a lot more appropriate to today's NBA than it was in years past.
Maybe if they still Frank Vogel, like my brain thought. I know what I need to go do after this. Go look up NBA head coaches that got changed in the offseason because I'm already 0 for 2.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of JJ Redick. I've always thought that his basketball IQ is up there with Chris Paul's and LeBron's.
Gosh.
And this is why, like, his game plan is working. And with Darvin Ham, this is not that much of a different team than when we had with Darvin Ham. And it's just working now. They're clicking. And you can throw in Connect. You can throw in guys off the bench to kind of replace production. Also, Austin Reeves, great start to the season. Last season, we kind of expected this Austin Reeves, and we're getting it now, which is totally fine because as long as it's there, it's there. Because you need that third guy, and also a guy that can play off ball, that can shoot. So Austin Reeves, he's improved a lot this season so far. Dalton Connect, we'll see more minutes probably from him later on in the season. And the main thing for this team is just staying healthy. And I think what JJ has done with LeBron's minutes is very smart. He's kept those minutes low, but at the same time, he's been able to because they've held the lead when he's on the bench. Like, they're playing well. That unit, whatever it is on the floor at the time when LeBron's sitting, they're playing well.
Yeah, you can just see it with the eye test. Their energy, everything about them has changed because of JJ. AD, look at how AD is playing. And you got Rui contributing. You've got these bench guys too. You'd like to see a little bit more of that, but just everything about this team looks better. So I'm optimistic about it, and getting Connect more involved because he's been huge when he's been out there, in limited minutes. So.
And I think Rui's start has to do with Redick as well, because he made it a point that Rui's going to be a focal point on this offense. And also AD, JJ said, okay, now is the time for LeBron to take the backseat a little and let this be AD's team officially. And we've seen AD just take that and run with it. So I'm very happy to see AD out there healthy. And if he maintains that health, I don't see how he's not going to be MVP if the Lakers keep winning these games.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing that the Redick has changed to the Lakers and has impacted them in so many ways is the ball movement. Like, even if you weren't even a huge fan of basketball and you watched the Lakers last year and one game from this year, you can just look and watch. The ball is being moved so much more. it obviously helps you on offense, but it also is going to create less possessions on defense, which the Lakers need as having LeBron and AD out there. They're not the youngest. We need less possessions, and we want to run the ball up and down the court when we're on offense, but we don't necessarily want to be defending in transition. So it helps to defend in transition when you keep the ball on your side a lot more and make the other team get set and get all of their momentum coming back this way. But when like the new NBA, like we were talking about, and you want to take a shot in the first 2 seconds or first or 4 seconds, defense they're just a few that are ready to run back and not fully set, and it helps out in so many ways of the ball movement. I was looking at the assists. It's like 28 assists per game for the Lakers right now. I don't know where that stacks up in like overall, but it was higher than the other teams that we were looking at. It was higher than Orlando, higher than Cleveland, higher than Phoenix, and definitely higher than they were at last year. So that's the ball movement was the one thing I wanted to mention that I've noticed is making a huge impact on the Lakers this year.
Yeah, and they were good at keeping the turnovers down too, until at least maybe this last game.
Yeah, Rui is 4-1 turnover ratio, assist to turnover ratio right now, leading the team.
Yeah, that's just impressive. And that's the thing. Those are the type of things that we look at and say, okay, there's a clear market difference between this team and last year's team. And I think that's why, to me, this is one of the more sustainable hot starts versus some of the other ones that we've seen, not even just necessarily in the Western Conference, but across the NBA, is because of the way that Redick is limiting minutes for the veterans, but is also still able to get production from these younger guys.
Yeah. I was just going to say the defense is going to improve once Vando's back. And also the way this team is structured, it's like they can go really big and have LeBron at point, connect Vando, Rui, and AD. And that's a huge lineup. And even when Koloko comes back or with Jackson Hayes, insert him at the 5 and AD at the 4, it could be a really big lineup. Or you can even have Austin Reeves at point guard and him handling the facilitating or at least the ball handling aspect of it, and have LeBron at the 2 or the 3. So it's very versatile, this team. And
being versatile is so big. And once it comes to a playoff series, just between series to series, being able to go big or go small. Like we go up against Cleveland. Cleveland's not in the West, but if we went up against them in the championship, we would need to use 2 bigs. And if we're going up against a much smaller team, we only need to use AD maybe. And it's being versatile like that from not just series to series, but even from game to game. If something's not working, that's huge. It's huge.
Also, to your point about the ball movement, I think it's very important because in my experience of playing, anytime you're touching the ball on offense, you're more motivated to play defense. Like there were teammates I had where they just stood in the corner and didn't get the ball, and defensively they were just unmotivated to even contest a shot.
Yeah.
So just them getting touches of that ball is encouraging them to play better on defense.
Definitely, it's like that old Golden State team, when they were winning so many games. Look at the ball movement they had, Yeah.
And I think Redick has like a like he makes them not like every single possession, but like he's trying to make it every single possession we go down there where AD touches the ball. Like the possession doesn't start until he touches the ball at least one time. And that's pretty cool.
I think that's smart because he's just that dominant and can do it. And Darvin Ham just didn't give him that opportunity for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And it was just more ISO ball with Ham. Now it's, even with D'Lo, he's getting more people involved as well. Whereas before he would just come down and check the 3. So maybe that was on Ham. And now, he made the adjustment.
The assist that D'Lo is getting this year, I think it was like 6 assists per game right now.
Yeah.
That's money. That's what we need. I'll take that all year long. 5.8 assists. Yeah. All year long, I'll take that.
Yeah. And I think LeBron's averaging 27 and 7 right now. And Reeves is right there, like 19, 7, and 5. So he's been really good.
Yeah, those numbers are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's just stupid.
Another thing about the start being sustainable is that they didn't go up against any scrubs this first 4 games. It was 4 playoff teams and number 5 today. So we'll see how they match up against Cleveland.
Tonight will be interesting. like who guards Donovan Mitchell. If they put Reeves on him or Rui, I don't think they'll put Rui, but Reeves. And is D'Lo going to be able to contain Darius Garland? Because if he can, then that's a huge step forward for him from last year and the year before. You know, we've seen that in the playoffs, his defensive lapses. So if he can lock down a guard like Garland, I think that's a big step for D'Lo.
Yeah, I'm kind of expecting a shootout. I'm hoping we just defend the three well and then score more points than them because, God, I just don't feel like we have the defenders to stack up with those two guards.
Yeah.
It's one of them's going to go off. I feel like we can't stop both of them. It's so hard.
Right.
And so once it gets to that point, it's just if they're also hitting threes and they have one of their guys going, they're so hard to beat. But let's make
assuming Okoro is going to be on LeBron, how is Rui going to do against Mobley? If Rui can, maneuver against Mobley, then that's huge.
I think he'll do pretty well. And I don't know, Mobley defends the mid-range so well, and that's a lot of Rui's game though too. So yeah, well, we'll see tonight.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see. But remember to subscribe and smash that like button. And hopefully we'll be coming to you guys live next time. All right.
See you guys.
See ya.